What's up and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you. And we got the best beard on Ysn holding it down in the middle. The coach is on the far right, Max Solo down below, and Alec in the G. Berwick Farm Studios. Gentlemen, how are we?
Doing well, doing well.
Mac, are you still fronting on this I can't hear you thing?
Oh yeah, he's still messing with me.
Still working it. Welcome to National Yellow Bat Day. And I got to say, the yellow bat thing caught me off guard because when we go to look up, what day it's going to be and what day it is, when I read National Yellow Bat, there's only one yellow bat that came to mind for me, but it wasn't the right one. This has to do with the Army and battalions and things of that, and it's actually a bat that's their that's what is that, their logo or their
battalion logo, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to switch it up a little bit. It's National Yellow Bat Day, and for me, there's only one yellow bat that there needs to be, and that is in wiffle ball, which every youngster grows up playing. So my question to you is, could you put together a wiffle ball team that could compete for a regional championship? So wiffle ball is, 5 guys, I think? A pitcher, 2 fielders in the infield, and 2 fielders in the outfield, right?
I think so.
Because you don't use a catcher anymore. You use the square, the PVC
square,
pipe
yeah.
square. So could you put together a team of 5 guys to compete here regionally for a championship? Quinn, go ahead.
Absolutely. I talked to Billy about this when we did the Canfield game. I live in Canfield Baseball Central, basically, with Richie and Josh as neighbors. Add Mr.
Josh,
Kalina.
I'll give you. Richie, unless he's announcing the game.
Richie is a goat at wiffle ball. Trust me.
Stop it.
He's good.
Stop
So
it.
you had those 2. You had the extra neighbor, Mr. Kalina, Ethan Kalina. And then you get up the street. I mean, you got Petros, you got Braden Beck. I mean, I live in Baseball Central over here. So they can go play. I'll field the team, and I'll go announce the game.
You're going to announce the game. Okay.
I'll announce the game, but they're going to bring home the championship. So
fair. It's going to be a quiet game.
I think I just want to see that now, just play-by-play from Quinn Pushkar for a baseball wiffle ball thing.
It's a wiffle ball game. It ain't that hard.
That's what you said about football.
Football wasn't hard.
Stiffer!
Absolutely.
Coach, can you put together a team of 5?
Sure, why not? Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3. Yep, 5 of us right here. Let's go.
That's a weak answer. You know it, too.
It is.
I'm
playing right field.
All right, deal. Alec, let's go to you. I know Billy's got one hell of a stacked roster if we're playing wiffle ball. Go ahead.
As long as I'm not on the team, they'll compete. They're not my thing. Not my thing. I've always underperformed wiffle ball.
Wiffle ball's not your game. All right.
No. I'm not the athletic type.
Billy, how about you?
I actually want to say probably not, because baseball players are the worst wiffle ball players ever. Because they feel like they need to create the crazy amount of bat speed and they need to throw hard and the ball goes in weird places. So I'm going to say that. But yes, I could probably put a pretty cool roster together. I don't know if we'll win any games, just for the sake of, I know guys like Jeff Whaler's going to be trying to hit it to the moon, and he's going to swing and miss and look like Charlie Brown in a baseball version.
The swashbuckler, Jeff Whaler. So it'd be interesting. I'd probably put a team together of YSN guys naturally, but like you said, wiffle ball is a different game. You can't rely on brute strength or baseball IQ or any. It's a creative person's game, is what it is, because it's all dictated by pitching and the curves and the slices and the reverse curve balls. What do they call it? Screwballs. They go. I mean, it's ridiculous. Go and YouTube some wiffle ball, and then
what's the league Swisher plays in?
Blitz ball or whatever.
That's what it is. Blitz ball. It's basically wiffle ball, but it's a little bit tweaked.
Steroids.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Not a chance. I mean, you talk about softball being one of the most challenging sports, for anybody, and they make softball look silly. I mean, watching a baseball go this way, back at you, it's defies all the laws of gravity, is what it does. It's in physics as well. So
the amount of change that those balls get is insane.
Yeah, and then you have rise balls, which you have in softball as well, but this ball actually goes down and then like pops up, like
Yeah.
something touched it. Like a ghost is carrying it, like in Angels in the Outfield. So yeah, happy National Yellow Bat Day, guys.
We used to play all the time growing up, and I had a next door neighbor that at one point had pitched for the Cincinnati Reds, and he had just figured out how to get all those different spins and things on it. And I remember being like 8, 9, 10 years old and him just making us look stupid in his backyard.
Yeah, it's a fun game. Like you cannot like wins and losses do not matter because so much can be won and lost, in one inning. You can put up 20 runs in an inning if you get on fire. So
Absolutely.
that's one of those games that doesn't matter till you get to the playoffs. But I would love you remember how close we were to starting things like wiffle ball and cornhole and kickball when Corona kicked off last year. Like I'd still like to get some of these on tape and stream for everybody because I think there'd be some interest in it. I really kickball, wiffle ball, cornhole especially. I am way behind the 8 ball on cornhole, like way behind. You look at some of these cornhole championships on the Ocho, those dudes are for real, and ladies are for real. So, be interesting to see a wiffle ball league. I would absolutely love it. So maybe maybe that's the next thing we'll do during baseball season.
Maybe something in that like early August or late.
Yeah, because we got nothing going on in August.
Well, late August we do.
I'll be busy.
Amo saying there's an MLW on YouTube from Michigan. It has like 8 teams. They play wiggle ball. Kids are pretty good. I'm guessing that's wiffle ball.
Wiffle, yeah.
Yep. Next comment.
Yep, there it is.
Yep.
Wiggle ball would be kind of interesting too.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. All right, so I felt that. No, never mind. We're gonna leave that there. My wife's probably shaking her head right now because that's what we do. They go wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Let's get to some sports here, guys. So the top story for me is this: it's Ursuline is the real deal. The number 1 team in the area. Is it the state? Are they the number 1 team in the state in Division III? The Ursuline Fighting Irish, the ladies. Softball team, and Quinn and Mac, you guys got to see up close and personal that Ursuline team last night during the Holy War. Am I wrong here? Ursuline, are they the real deal?
Go ahead, Quinn.
I think they are. I mean, I think they're the real deal. They have some really good pitching. Billy can fill you in on the stats from last night. I think Holland ended up having 8 or 9 strikeouts and gave up maybe 1 hit at most. And then their 2 isn't bad either. Ogden's a pretty good pitcher there too. And they just hit. They're a very consistent hitting team. I mean, I think every time I've seen them with Billy, I mean, they've gotten at least 10, 11 hits. And it's not like one player only. It's everybody's getting hits.
Billy, what's the biggest thing you see at Ursuline that is making them legit contenders?
I think the biggest thing for me, obviously, they have a pretty dominant pitcher in Holland. She last night she gave 2 hits and 8 strikeouts. But the thing that impresses me the most is, well, there's a couple things. All right, because we're talking about the number 1 team in the state here. One of the things is 1 through 9 they hit. I mean, they absolutely crush the ball 1 through 9. Not every team can say that. I would say in the same category with the 1 through 9 is you got South Range in there, and you also have Poland, who I've seen both. Outside of that, I think the other schools have really good pitching, so they're going to win games. But I think when it comes down to good pitching versus good pitching, and that's where Ursuline always seems to have the edge. Right now is 1 through 9. They basically have murderers row. We talked about the old Yankees, and that's a team that 1 through 9. They hit. I mean, they straight up. They hit early in the count. They can protect the count. They hit when they're in negative counts. It's really impressive. The other thing I really love about the defense of Ursuline is we tried to talk about it last night with Quinn, and of course it went right over Quinn's head. Let's be fair with that. We talked about stopping the bleeding, where when you play a team like Ursuline, they're going to apply a lot of pressure on the bases. Okay, so they're going to try to get those extended innings where 1 out and then you get runners at the corners. If there's not a real chance that you getting the runner at home, Ursuline will take second base every single time, and now all of a sudden, what you thought was just a single with an RBI is now technically a single with a overthrow, which advances the runner to second base in a scoring position. They do that better than anybody I've seen this year. So now the next hitter comes up again, 1 through 9. They're really good. So now there's another runner in scoring position, and that's where the snowball kind of comes in. And every team so far that we've done a couple of Ursuline games is teams have played with them the first time through the lineup. It's the second time the lineup, third time through the lineup. There's a snowball inning where there's 6 runs, there's 5 runs, there's 8 runs. There's a big inning, and teams can't avoid it right now.
And you think that's what's got Ursuline off to such a good start is the fact that they can apply pressure to teams both that can compete with them and the ones that shouldn't be competing with them. They just take everybody as they go. They play their game, and basically they're playing themselves on a daily basis.
And that starts with coaching, right? I mean, you talk about playing at a standard. I mean, Ursuline has done that, and Coach Kernan has really applied the pressure to his girls to say, hey, this is, no matter who we're playing, this is our level of expectation, and you play to that. And he's created a culture or an environment there that is one of the best in the area. They're definitely in the state right now because they're number 1.
So let me ask you this. Have they done a really, really good job of hiding any weaknesses that they have, or do they have a weakness that is glaring that a particular team, if they work on it or if they're really good at it, could take advantage of a weakness in Ursuline's lineup or in their defense?
Well, as a hitting instructor as well, I don't see too many holes in their swings. They're doing a good job of doubling down on what they're good at. So some of these girls really like to hit the ball early in the count, so they execute early in the count. I mean, it's not like college where you have a lot of scouting report on each individual hitter, so you can dissect it. You have a game to do that, and or if you play him for a second time, you have an opportunity to see him, so you might be able to pick apart a couple swings in there. But again, this team's really good. They have a lot of travel ball girls. They have girls who played at high levels, and their schedule's pretty tough too. So, I mean, they're going out there and beating some really good teams. So it's not like they're running through the bottom of the mill teams.
Yeah, you got Maris Barbado going to Toledo, so you got some great talent on that team. Seemingly, I believe almost every player that's a senior is going to play somewhere in softball. So you look at that and you go, wow, that's pretty doggone impressive. So it leads us to the old adage and the question of, would you rather see, or should there be an off game or a game that maybe you don't win to get you refocused, or do you think this team has the focus to run the table the whole way through?
So I'm always torn between this question, and I don't like to lose, period.
Right.
Okay. So for me, when somebody says, hey, losing's good, that's just a poor excuse of why you lost that game. Mm-hmm. I look at it as, with Coach Kernan and what he's doing with these girls, is, again, setting the standard every practice, every at-bat, every pitch. I mean, coaches all talk about pitch by pitch, inning by inning, but he lives it. And he applies that pressure in the dugout with his girls. So there's pressure every single at bat, every single pitch. He's applying it, and he's setting the standard for his team. It's very similar to some other teams, but we're just talking about Ursuline here. So he does a great job with that. So I don't need them to lose a game. I just to learn a couple things about themselves. I think they're just fine. Keep applying that pressure. Keep coaching them up. And the other thing, that they have great chemistry with each other. They, at 1 through 9 through 14 through 15, they're cheering each other on, rooting for each other, screaming in the dugout and chanting and hollering and hooting and all that fun stuff, and really supporting each other. So, I mean, right now, Ursuline's flying real high.
Alec, we all know you're a huge Steeler fan. Is this a scenario where you could see them wanting to kind of take their lumps in the regular season before they get to the playoffs and kind of refocus, or do you like being able to run the table? Do you like being able to beat everybody and keep that momentum going if you can?
Well, my thoughts on that are, if you're able to run the table consistently, as long as you don't let it get into your head, that's the best possible solution. Getting in your head, getting overconfident, that's when it starts to get to you. So when that happens, maybe a loss will kick you in the butt, get you back going the right direction. But until you get in your own head, that you're better than everybody and you know it, then just keep running the table as best you can. Don't get overconfident.
See, I would disagree because baseball and softball are such confident sports. So to step into the box and to hit and to do those things, I teach confidence. That's the biggest thing. And to me, there's no such thing as overconfident. You talk about arrogant. I like players with a little edge and a little bit of arrogance to them, knowing my best is better than your best, and here it is, and then execute.
That's fair. That is fair. It's just when players, they get that over stuff and they just don't start working. They stop working as hard as they were to begin with. Like when they get overconfident, like, hey, I don't need to try as hard as I used to. That's what I'm talking about.
And I would come back to you saying, with the coaching staff and the experience with Coach Kernan has, that will never be an issue there.
Right. And see, I don't know the situation all that well, but so if that's the case, then absolutely keep running the table. Absolutely.
No, it's fine. Your point is great. I'm just saying since I know the program, that's all.
So here's a question. Jim Bartell saying, does Ursuline girls play Fitch girls this year?
They do not.
They don't. Okay. That would have been
I'd love to see the matchup. I'd love to see Spalding go up against Holland, and that would be a pitcher's duel. But again, I would say that would be a fantastic game. Let me just leave it at that.
Well, yeah, and then you've got Maddie's Power, for Austintown Fitch. There's a lot of great matchups there.
That would probably be the only thing. Power-wise, I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, there are some girls can hit home runs, right? That's not their game.
No,
their game is to overwhelm you, run bases well, execute in between the lines.
Well, they're playing for crooked numbers, right? They're not playing.
Right.
Not that I'm not trying to indicate that Fitch just plays for single digits and one run an inning, but we know that Ursuline is based around speed and high pressure situations, and they're not afraid to give up and out when they have to in order to try to make something happen, create an opportunity. And that's Mike Kernan's game, and he's done that for a very, very long time effectively. And I think that's what your point was, Billy, is this is a different team that we're looking at. This isn't the same, get one over, get them on, or get her on, get her over, get her in. This is get everybody on base and let's see what happens. Put one in, drive one into the gap. If a ball gets by a catcher, if there's an overthrow, you're going to be scoring 1-2 runners at a time. So
you cannot make a mistake. Will really hurt you in a game against Ursuline. Making 2 will feel like 5 runs. Yep. That's kind of how it felt in a couple games that we've done this year for the Irish.
And I think we all understand from a baseball and softball perspective that, if you give up 1 run, it doesn't feel like a lost inning. You give up 3 or 4 runs, you're teetering that line. And then you give up 8 runs, and you're in big trouble, And that's what Ursuline's really good at, giving 6 runs, 7 runs, 8 runs, and driving it. So, Amo saying Ursuline girls play West Branch?
I'm pretty sure they were on the schedule, but I think it got rained out.
Anthony says no. Anthony's not part of the show, but he's chiming in from afar.
Anthony will absolutely know. I don't remember seeing them, but talking to Coach Kernan, I know he was looking to try to get that game on, but never did. So
it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun watching this team and seeing what they can do, and it's nice being able to say Ursuline is for real, because you understand it when you send girls to the next level to play softball, how much they've invested in it. And I know Coach Kernan has invested a ton of time and resources into this program as well, and as has Ursuline. So
that's why they call it Softball U.
It's exactly what they call it, Softball U. It's their
Twitter handle.
Yeah, their Twitter handle. So their Twitter hammer. So another question, man, that would have been a good matchup for both teams. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you're in a situation where you've got to play your conference games. You got to get the games in that are 2-year, 3-year contracts. There's a lot of teams around here, especially in softball, that have really started to establish themselves.
It's really, with baseball and softball, it's the hardest thing. I mean, Ursuline, for the most part, gets that benefit because not being in a league, you get an opportunity to go out. I guess they're technically in the Steel Valley, but I'm not sure how that works because it's kind of weird this year. But you get that opportunity where you're going to play 27 games and go play this team and that team, but then like a team like a West Branch would have to cancel it sometime because to play a league game, you're forced to play league games first, no matter what.
That's one of those round robins I would love to see. If there was 3 teams in the area playing, You get Ursula.
Man, can you imagine if we had like a YSN like baseball or softball tournament and we could just hand pick the teams, just like, here, we want to see these teams match up?
Well, we're working on
like,
the All-Stars.
That would be.
I don't know that we'll get the tournament, but we're working on the
It would
All-Stars.
be like a fantasy matchup.
Well, it's like the Rocky Balboa versus Rocky 6 or whatever that was, where he fights the one guy. Yeah, but I mean, it'd be fun.
Guys, just for the record, I just checked on Max Preps, and it does currently have them scheduled to play West Branch on May 15th.
Quinn, update? Is that on our roster here?
As well as Louisville on May 8th.
I know they play Louisville.
Louisville, that'll be a good game. That'll be a good game, but I still think Louisville's a little bit down. They graduated a lot last year, and that was why it was very tough for Louisville. And there was, self-admittedly, if you talk to anybody on Louisville, there's a lot that went right for them when they won that state championship. God bless you.
Thank you.
That I think they were down to their final out, and they ended up walking it off. Did they not?
Well, to win a state championship, you got to be good and you got to have luck. That's just and you got to have good weather.
Well, that's it too.
So I mean, all those things kind of come into play when you're talking about a state championship run. I mean, not always the best team wins any state or any championship in general.
I don't even have our schedules out to May 15th. I have them to the 8th.
Well, I lean on Anthony. So you can fire at Anthony. That's not me. I lean on Anthony.
It's on there. I got it.
Okay, so there we go.
I know Coach Canan said he wanted to try to schedule West Branch. That's I do know after when we spoke to him.
In the midst of a tournament, correct? That's right dead in the middle of the state tournament.
And that's a lot of times that happens where good teams will play good teams, even if it's like an exhibition or a scrimmage or even a game, is you try to get teams that are a division away or division below or division up to play games while you're waiting, because there's a break. You're going to play, like, at least in baseball, it was like Monday, Wednesday, and then you wouldn't, or Monday, Tuesday, and then you wouldn't come back for the next week. So you're going to have almost a whole week off before you play another round.
Do we have any takers for that May 15th game?
I'm pretty sure either Anthony or I will be there.
It looks like you're hot on the trail for Ursuline now. There's probably not going to be too many games.
It's a doubleheader that day too, though.
For those two teams?
They're not playing together. They're all at YSU. It's like a little mini YSU thing.
Get Fitch in
West
there.
Branch, Madison, and Ursuline, I think.
Get Madison out of there. Bring Fitch in.
Is Chardon included in that too? Because I see them kind of in that same time frame scheduled.
They might be, but I don't think they're playing either one of the YSN schools that we have.
Let's see. Let's see if the influencer of influencers can go and push Fitch into that little scenario, because I think that'd be fun. I think that'd be real fun.
Absolutely.
And we got the setup there. We're right on top of it, so we can rotate announcers. You're dang right. All right, so from that we go to this pitch count, yay or nay. A lot of conversation on this, especially in the last 24, 48 hours. We saw it on Monday where Mohawk had a no-hitter going with Cooper Vance. They had a 13-0 lead, and Cooper, high-character kid, turns over the baseball, says, it doesn't mean anything to me, or nearly as much to me as seeing my another one of his teammates pitch, who hasn't pitched yet this season because of injury, coming off kind of the an arm injury where he's now allowed to go full strength. So, and then last night we see one in coach. He said 4 2/3 innings in Lowellville versus Sebring, and they make a change due to pitch count. And kind of going back to the Mohawk thing, Cooper said it had to do with pitch count because I want to be able to pitch the rest of the week if needed. So let's talk about pitch count, and I'm going to start with Billy because, and I know he's already been heavy on the conversation already, but he's the expert when it comes to pitching, and he's the expert when it comes to a lot of things baseball for us. Billy, talk to me. You've been an advocate for pitch count for as long as I've known you. Why is pitch count so important, and why should coaches and players alike, and parents as well, kind of go with the suggested guidelines of the pitch count?
So pitch counts were instituted. It's been at every level for, it's got to be at least close to 15 years now. The really youth level, it's been really hot. Even in for years, it was innings, right? And I was never a fan of innings because, first off, the pitch count is in place because of health. Okay, health of the pitcher. Now, the second reason it's in there is because players, parents, and coaches cannot be trusted when it comes to somebody's health, and because they're not experts in the anatomy of the arm. That's the first thing. Okay, and coaches are out there to win games. When it's in between the lines, and there's no denying it, and I'm included in that, is when it's time, when the first pitch is out there, we're trying to win games. Okay, that's the objective. That's the goal. All right. Now, there's plenty of doctors. Dr. Andrews is out here from 2016, and he's basically out here saying, I've done so many Tommy John surgeries from ages from 14 to 18 that it's disgusting. And then he jumped on ship with the NFHS to create a pitch count that is normal. I think it's 125, at least for Ohio, it's 125 max in a day, and it's 3 days rest. So that's something. Okay, it's not the end all be all, but we had to create something because coaches were out here. I coached a high school baseball game on a Tuesday where a kid threw 156 pitches. On Wednesday, we played the same team and the kid threw 176 pitches. Why is that happening? Therefore, why we have rules. Want to know what else is weird? The kid in the summer had Tommy John surgery at 16 years old. That's where we don't want to be. You're talking about winning games and ending careers, basically, because let's face it, the Tommy John surgery it's expensive. And why should I have a surgery at 16, 15, 14 years old to push my athlete or my kid to the next level for a chance? Okay, for a chance at what? To play college baseball, for a scholarship, for major league. I mean, those are far and few between. So it's just too much. And the idea that, well, pitch counts don't matter. It's on average, yeah. And if I threw 3 pitches every inning, that would be great. But it doesn't happen. Okay, so the idea of averages is ludicrous to me. I don't know why anybody would say it's a number of pitches. It's the stress on the arm. It's the labrum and it's the elbow that you have to take care of. And that's why it's not a natural movement. That's why girls don't have a pitch count. They do feel wear and tear, but this is a natural body movement. This is not a natural body movement. If you just hold your arm out like this, you will feel tension right here in your elbow. You will feel that ligament. This is where they have Tommy John. They snip it. You will feel it over time. Okay? Except for Quinn, because his arms are just like this big.
Defense, Quinn? Any defense in that?
Nope.
I'm left-handed, so this does nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks for the insight, Quinn. Ty, welcome to the show, and your thoughts on pitch count? Yay, nay?
Billy really hit the nail right on the head, and you know how much I am an advocate for sports science and sports medicine, how it drastically improves to make these athletes better, and that is something that's instituted. And I mean, that's exactly what I was going to cover if Billy didn't, is that it's an unnatural movement in boys baseball, throwing overhand as opposed to the underhand throw that girls do in softball, especially with, you talk about some of these breaking pitches, like a curveball has a lot of wear and tear on the elbow. And I mean, you stretch that out. If it's thrown how many times a game, you look at maybe 30 times a game, you throw that maybe 30%, even less than that, 20%. But if you're pitching multiple times in a week, that's a lot of strain going on your elbow. And I mean, you take into account too, a lot of people look at, 125 pitches. Well, that might not seem like a lot of pitches to throw in 6 innings, but you got to take into account how many warm-up pitches these kids are throwing before the game, how many warm-up pitches are going on in between innings. So, like, in reality, 125 pitches is more like they're throwing somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 plus from before the start of the game up until the end of the game when they're done pitching, if they're going to go out for that amount of time. So it's all about the safety of the kids, and I'm all for the safety of the kids, preserving them and preserving their chances to have college scholarships and long-term careers.
That's a really good point Ty made, because I didn't make that point. I didn't want to get into curveballs because for me, I thought that was quite obvious. There's a lot of torque and turn with curveballs and sliders, but the idea of like you're going to see 40 pitches on average, give or take. My kids throw about 40 pitches before pregame warm-up. They play long toss before. Again, not a natural movement, okay? So anytime you throw here, it's wear and tear, okay? So let's say you throw 60 to anywhere from 50 to 60 just throws to warm up. Then you're going to go to the bullpen, and you're going to throw 40. So right there's 90 throws before you even step foot on the mound. You're going to get 6 to 8 pitches in between innings. So add that in, depending on how many pitches. So, yeah, you could, in a day, overhand, you could probably throw closer to 200 throws before the day is all said and done, if you hit the 125 mark.
So let me ask you about the curveball thing, because I've seen it both ways, where we have advocation for curveballs in the younger leagues, like not obviously not coach pitch, but we call it minor leagues here, which is the league before Little League, where the kids start to pitch and start to learn. I've seen more coaches stress don't throw a curveball over a kid going in and throwing 110 pitches in their first outing of the season, just because it's a 10-year-old kid who can throw strikes. Billy, is there a level of difference between concern on a curveball or a slider or that torque of the elbow, as opposed to the amount of times that you throw it over and over again in one outing?
So you talking about just throwing breaking balls in general?
Yeah, and because let's face it, no, how do I say this without sounding like a complete jerk? Kids don't really know what they're doing. I mean, I've seen 10-year-olds that don't know how to hold the bat correctly, where it's you line up the knuckles, they're still like this. So how well are they doing actually throwing the curveball? Like, it's not curving, it's not breaking like we're used to seeing at the high school level, obviously, or even at the Little League level.
So first off, I don't really like to teach curveballs until about 13 to 14, and it's something we progress into. So it's something we talk about. It's something we go, only throw it here. We have to make sure we're doing it the right way. Make sure you're taught correctly. How do you feel after that? A lot of feel, right? So, hey, did you feel any of this pulling in here? So no, you're not throwing it right. Slow motion cameras I have, so we making sure our fingers are on top of the ball coming down. I teach a 12-6 curveball, okay, almost like a Nolan Ryan curveball, where it's just completely 12-6, because it is a little less stressful on your elbow. Now, when you start getting into the crank where your thumb's coming off about 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock, that's when you're going to get a lot of tension into your elbow. And then anything underhand, slider-wise, or sidearm, is a mess. You're going to tear this thing up so fast. So when you're talking about those, coaches in games also, when they see kids swing and miss, hey, kid's got a nasty hook, baby. Here comes 3 more. Here comes 3 more. Here comes 3 more. Now, I'm lucky because I'm educated in it, and I take time in it, take a lot of pride in it, and I also call pitches for the youth teams, and we also conversate with catchers at the older leagues when they're calling guys. I don't like to see 2, 3, 4, 5 curveballs in a row, right? I like to see 7 to 10 pitches of breaking balls throughout the game.
I'm going to go to Coach because I know what he's going to say. Go ahead, Coach.
Oh, I was just going to ask Billy what that word was.
It's a new word. I just made it up.
Conversate.
Converse,
right?
To go with converse.
It's a Jeff Bezos 101. I stole it from Jeff. It's all good. It's a real thing. It's the asterisk.
So here's another question. Everybody talks about baseball as stress on the arm. Now, we're talking to the right guy, because this guy doesn't like to throw a whole hell of a lot in his lineup. Coach, is there any concern over throwing the football too much, for quarterbacks' arms? Because it's still that release. And actually, I would argue, and I'm not a doctor, that there's more stress on throwing a football because of the weight of it, and because the way you have to release it is you're spinning it, trying to, as much as you can, get that spiral.
So there can be, for sure, because like Billy said, that's not a natural movement. If we all do this again, we feel that tension. However, it's much more about the shoulder in football than it is about the elbow. And what we've found, at least what I've found, is the only time that we really have to get concerned is when we're doing like a weekend 7-on-7 tournament. I remember we made a trip out to the western part of the state to participate in a 7-on-7. We were about 7 games deep on a day, and my quarterbacks came to me and they were like, "Coach, arm shot, there's just not much left here at all. So, and being a smaller school, we only really had, 2 quarterbacks that we were able to throw that day. Would have loved to have had one more arm to be able to put in there, or, in my case, would have loved to have been able to run the ball there.
I also want to say this. This is going to sound kind of weird, but one of the most violent acts your body can do is pitch. Okay. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a 95 to 100 mile an hour arm swing where you're coming through all the way. You're talking about the force of landing and pushing your foot through a ground. I mean, it's similar to football. I wouldn't necessarily, the weight has a lot to do with it. I'm sure there is a variable in there that weight means. So if you're throwing a bowling ball, that's going to be a lot different than throwing a baseball or a tennis ball or something. But it is one of the most violent things that we do in sports outside of like a collision, of course, right? So that's something that we have to also take in consideration. I mean, Dr. Andrews talked about these kids throwing 90 miles an hour at 16 years old. This is something that's not a thing that DJ, I played a lot of travel ball. I played a lot of high-level baseball in my youth, and there wasn't a whole bunch of guys out there throwing 90. So guys are built different as well, too. Nowadays, diet's in there. Training is a lot better. Science is a lot better. Technology is a lot better. I mean, I even do the driveline program at Max, so a lot of guys are training for that, and it's putting themselves at risk all year round now compared to just in season. And then you got the whole, hey, I just picked up a baseball in January part, right?
Yeah. The other big difference between like the football throwing motion and the baseball throwing motion is there's a lot more wear on the actual arm in the baseball motion. In the football motion, we're preaching all the time shoulders and hips.
Well, I mean, pitching coaches, and correct me if I'm wrong, Billy, they talk about legs. It's all in the leg drive and things of that. So it's interesting you say that because we're talking about arms, but if your legs aren't in shape, that's when your arm really gets in trouble.
You're right.
So does anybody throw a forkball anymore?
It's basically called something different. That's just the game. It's called a split change now.
Yeah.
It's a split change now. It's the same exact grip, same exact snap through. It's just called a split change now.
So there you go. So yes, the answer is they throw forkballs. They just did away with the name. I guess they spooned it.
And there's your daily dad joke of the day.
Waka waka. We're going to take a break, but before we go, I want to introduce you to something we're going to talk about after the break, and it comes to us via ESPN and Disney.
As impressive as Trey Lance's highlights are something about those highlights give me some pause because I look at the end zone and it says Penguins. Like he's playing against Youngstown State. Like let's relax. Let's calm it down a little bit. He's balling against Penguins.
Garbage take.
Yep, well, that's a garbage take. We're going to talk about it when we come back on the Ysn Power Hour as well as the G. Burley Farms. What's your beef? What's your filet? All after this.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
that is going to lead us into our discussion. Now, this was, what, Monday? Was this Monday? That Dominique Foxworth on ESPN's Get Up decided to not only trash Trey Lance, who is going to be drafted in the first round, and this garbage take, in my opinion, but also decided to trash one of the most, I would say, one of the top teams in Division I AA at the time and in the 1990s, led by Jim Tressel, of course, to 4 national championships, the Youngstown State Penguins, which are very close to us. I felt that, it's not something that YSU can go and defend themselves on, and it's not something that necessarily the players should be defending themselves either because of, you walk into YSU and the program history, the rich traditions. But for this guy to make a name for himself off of the trash of a prominent program, and a program that we hope is coming back to its glory, I think is a bad look. And and you can hear Greenberg and a couple of the other guys giggle in the background because Penguins in the end zone. As a matter of fact, let's run that clip one more time.
As impressive as Trey Lance's highlights are something about those highlights give me some pause because I look at the end zone and it says Penguins. Like he's playing against Youngstown State. Like, let's relax. Let's calm it down a little bit. He's balling against Penguins.
So I know on Monday I was listening and watching the show as I was setting up for the Mohawk game. You guys talked about this a little bit with Trey Lance. And Quinn, you're adamant about Trey Lance and how he can be a competitor at the next level. Talk to me about when a guy says something like this that kind of trashes YSU in one hand and trashes Trey Lance in the other. Is that something that he needs to check himself on and really get some more detail before he makes a take like this?
Absolutely. Trashing YSU, that's not logical. YSU's had one of the best defenses for the past probably 20 years in the FCS, in the conference. There are a lot worse teams in the conference that North Dakota State plays, but that's beside the point. YSU is a perennial power in the MVFC, so that's garbage as it is. For what he's saying about Trey Lance, that's baloney too. Trey Lance is a stud. You don't throw 28 touchdowns, no interceptions, and not be good. You just don't.
Yeah, the other guys have to play too, and I don't care who you're playing against. You go 28-0, touchdowns to interception ratio. That's pretty doggone good. I know a guy that would probably take that in a heartbeat, even though touchdowns would be lower because he'd run the ball a little bit more. Coach, talk to me about this take.
Yeah, I'm going to call it exactly what Quinn wouldn't call it, and that's horse shit. Because, first of all, Dominique Foxworth, are we serious right now? Like, dude, you played at, where was it, Maryland?
Yep.
And you come into the NFL, you average like 1.2375 tackles per game in your NFL career. And in 12 years, you've got like 12 passes defended. Like, who are you to judge what another program looks like? That football powerhouse of Maryland, crab cakes and football. I'm so sick of people trashing on anything that's not Power 5 related.
I can get behind that. Ty, you have a take on this, on Mr. Foxworth?
I'll steer away from where Coach was taking it with Foxworth, but I will say, speaking on him, I will guarantee that I don't think he's ever been in the great city of Youngstown. But, you're talking about a guy that has no idea or knows nothing about Grit City, USA, knows nothing about the Northeastern Ohio kind of thought process of earn everything and nothing is given to you. So, when you come at one of our guys like that, you're going to get the horns of everyone in the city because now you're Youngstown's number one target. And I think it was all, like you said, DJ, I think it was all just to try to make a name for himself. He needed content. ESPN needs content at this time of the year where they, nothing going on with football right now. It's at a weird time. We talked about this, no NBA playoffs are going on right now or nothing like that. So they need something to talk about football-wise. So now they're just trying to stir the pot. And Dominique Foxworth, you've been hired by ESPN to be a professional pot stirrer now.
Alec, let's jump over Mac for a minute to get to you. What's your take on this?
So obviously we already covered how his trashing of Youngstown State was horrible. So I'm gonna jump on the Trey Lance bashing for a moment, because the level of competition when you're judging a quarterback is not nearly as important for other positions. The level of competition doesn't play as big of effect as you think it would. Like, even if he is playing lesser schools, which Youngstown State is not, you're looking at where he's throwing the ball, how he's releasing it, that target on receivers, whether they're wide open, is he throwing it up here or in the chest, So that doesn't matter. And Trey Lance is going to be a stud. He's my quarterback 3 in the class personally, but he's going to be a stud.
We got a new Mel Kiper in the group. I love it. All right, Mac, we know you got the hot take. All yours, buddy.
I mean, I felt like I covered everything on Monday, to be honest. I really don't like, it's unfortunate that he called out, Youngstown State, and I don't really like that, because I don't think, like you guys have all pointed out, he doesn't know the culture here, he doesn't know the understanding, and obviously he doesn't know the history of Youngstown State University. So, I mean, that's an issue. But when it comes to the Power Five, I really spoke on a lot of this stuff Monday, and I really feel like the level of competition. I really like him at the 3rd pick. I love the 49ers getting him. I don't know where this Mac Jones issue is coming from. I think that's all smoke. There's no fire behind that. I think that's all draft boo-boo. So I would be more than surprised to see Mac Jones be drafted there, other than Justin Fields or Trey Lance. And I really think it's Trey Lance. I think he's the best, the 3rd prospect in the draft for the quarterback position over Justin Fields. So. And I would really even put him at 2, but the Jets are not going to draft him. So, the only thing that scares me about Trey Lance is there's just not enough game film or just game experience. That's experience is you need that in life or in sports. He doesn't have enough of it. That's my only concern. But not enough to not draft him 3rd, though, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if this question was asked the other day because, like I said, I was getting set up for a game, but does anybody else find it weird that, we talk about the Power 5 all the time, but 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks in the draft are not Power 5 quarterbacks?
I mean, like I was just saying, level of competition for quarterbacks isn't it?
Who are the two?
Zach Wilson,
Trey Lance.
Yeah. Zach Wilson.
They moved to independent. Yeah, independent. I thought they were.
Who?
Good.
They're in the WAC.
They're in the WAC.
They're independent.
Where did you think they were? The Big Ten?
No, I thought they were in the Pac, but they're independent.
They're in the WAC, Billy.
Were they ever in the Pac?
Or the WCC or something, or Mountain West.
The Pac may be like the President's Athletic Conference. That's about as close as BYU would ever be to a Pac. But I mean, that's
independent football schedule. BYU.
Due to COVID.
Don't matter. They'd still lose to North Dakota State, so whatever.
So my question is, and Alec kind of teetered around it, from that standpoint, quarterbacks, they're more like pitchers, where you're measuring analytics and you're measuring the spin on the ball, the accuracy, I believe, and this is our old friend Nate Kiper that put together some analytics for Pro Football Focus that said, if you look at the best and most what do I want to say here? I forget the actual stat is, but it's the most targeted or best targets, passes, or some kind of analytics sabermetric that they're using in football now. Yeah. Joe Burrow was the best quarterback in 2020 before he got hurt. So you think about that and you go, whoa, like that's better than Patrick Mahomes. That's better than Tom Brady. That's better, all these big names, and it's Joe Burrow who stands alone amongst them. And I want to say Garoppolo was somewhere high on that as well. So, these teams look at that stuff now. Do you think that's a good measuring stick for guys like Wilson and Lance to bet your franchise, basically put your franchise behind the 8 ball for the next 5 or 10 years, to do that, to pick one of these guys that don't have that big football experience?
I mean, obviously experience is a big thing, but quarterbacks in football, like you said, it's more analytics than film. And obviously film is important. Like if they don't do well under pressure or whatever, there's lots of other factors there. But if they can throw the ball into the hands of their receiver every time, it doesn't matter if they're wide open or not.
I'll say, I love and hate the draft. I love it a lot more than I hate it, but I really hate it for the simple fact of when you talk about the quarterback position, because it matters where you fall.
Absolutely.
You know, you go to a lot of these quarterbacks are coming into bad football teams. You know, and that's just unfortunate. I mean, the Browns have been in this spot for years, and we had a mess of an office. We've had terrible coaches and disarray and all kinds of weird things. And Johnny Manziel, like that's hello. So we've had terrible coaching and not enough pieces in place to just coach the guy, to coach the player that comes in, and that's why I think it's so important that it's not always about going first. It's about going to the right place. You know, you look at a guy like Ben Roethlisberger who fell to the Steelers, and that was the right place for him. I mean, nowhere else would he. I don't want to say nowhere else, but I'm going to say nowhere else.
He would have done it in San Diego.
He would have been fine somewhere else.
Maybe not to the full success that he has now, but he would have been good.
He came right away, had a really good defense, had a good running game, was able to learn, progress, and then by X amount of years, he was out there just hucking and chucking and beating a lot of teams. So,
and another big important factor is the O-line you're getting drafted behind, because like if you look at Andrew Luck, who is all-star talent, retired at 29.
Or you look at Dak Prescott.
That's because he's
on the
nerd.
other side of that.
Andrew Luck's a nerd.
It's Stanford education.
There it is.
Slinging insurance packages.
What's wrong with that, Quinn? We have insurance sponsors.
Which is why
That's why he retired. There's nothing wrong with that.
Which is why I hope Trey Lance goes to the 49ers and not to Denver, because Denver stinks and they're a mess. Let him go to the 49ers where it's a good organization. Talk about that Youngstown grit. He can go back to Youngstown with the San Francisco 49ers. So, and they got a pretty good head on their shoulders running the show over there with John Lynch and, of course, their coach too.
Yeah, whoever San Fran drafts between Trey Lance or Justin Fields, it's going to be a good pick either way. Both of them will succeed heavily.
You got to think both quarterbacks are going, thank you so much, Jets, for not taking us. We do not want to go there.
Yes, we did see that the Colts reached out to Luck before they traded for Wentz. Didn't we, Billy?
We did. A couple of times.
We sure did. We had a bet on that, didn't we?
Jeff had a bet on that.
Okay. I'll check. I got to start writing these down. I got to start writing these down.
What was yesterday's bet? Between Quinn and Mac?
Oh, the beard. It was the beard in EB. That's what that was. Something about beating each other, and then somebody wins, the beard goes. And,
they got to match up.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
What's Paige? When referencing, like you have to reference what you're talking about, because you're coming to us like 30, 40 seconds late.
No, he's talking about the Colts reaching out to Luck in the way that you kind of said yes, we did.
Oh, yeah. So that was 40 seconds ago, though, Matt. So that's you got to reference this, what you're talking about. So yes, Billy and or Jeff Bezos. I swear it was Billy. I swear up and down it was Billy. It was you, Billy. It was you. Because now I'm starting to remember that you. No, I've got sources in Indianapolis that are saying that Andrew Luck is in the city. And I said, let's go. Let's go.
It really happened. The meeting really happened.
And you know what didn't happen? Him signing.
Well, the season hasn't started yet. We'll just wait.
He might come back as a coach.
Okay, so after the first preseason snap, I get my money, or how does this work?
Yeah, about week 7, 8, 10.
You know,
how about July?
When you say things like, oh, I've got sources in Indianapolis, you sound like the guys that call up and are like, I saw John Gruden looking for houses in Strongsville.
Oh my goodness! Good show.
Well, no, it was all over the place. It was all over ESPN. It was all over Fox. It was all over a bunch of places that they were meeting. So I mean, it wasn't necessarily a secret.
That's going to lead us to G. Burbick Farms. What's your beef? What's your filet? And obviously, go to G. Burbick Farms at gburbickfarms.com or visit them on New Buffalo Road. And a special thanks to Greg as we ramp up for, believe it or not, ramp up for the summer and ramp up for fall football. It doesn't feel like it today, boys, because every game has been canceled across the network here today. No games remain, 0. So before I get to my beef, why? Like, we played in this before. I've played in snow before. Why can they not play? I'm at a loss. Anybody have any answers?
There's temperature issues. That's the biggest thing. At the start of a game time, a lot of schools have it in policy that you can't start under X degrees.
Fair enough. I didn't know that. So, but I swear to you, we played in. I remember getting pegged by Brett Siebert of Columbiana right between the 3 and the 1 because I talked trash on a day that wasn't much colder or wasn't much warmer than this. So. Let's go to the G Burger Farms. What's your beef? Quinn, start us off.
My beef's with the weather. I hate the snow. It's the end of April in Ohio. This is horseshit.
I hate it.
And my filet is Billy. Goodbye.
No, you can't get rid of him.
I just did.
I thought you were gonna eject yourself.
Nope, I just did.
You can't eject people.
Well, I just did.
Oh man, you cannot eject people, Quinn. All right, let's go.
Bye, Quinn. I'm gonna go with one of each today, and let's start off with my beef. So. My beef is I got up this morning, I walked downstairs, was getting ready to make my pot of coffee, and there was a giant freaking wolf spider sitting right underneath the coffee pot. Not a fan of spiders, so that leads me into my filet, which is that my brand new pair of LeBrons came today, so I'm going to strap those babies on and go find that thing and squish it and its whole family.
With your new shoes?
Maybe I'll put on my cowboy boots for you, DJ.
That's, you know how much I love cowboy boots. Let's go to Alec. Alec, what's your beef? What's your filet?
I'm going to go with Quinn on my beef. The weather's horrible. I hate it. I had to wipe my car off this morning. Not a fan. Really not a fan of that. Plus, my car does not like the cold very much. It takes a long time to heat up. So that's my beef for the day. My filet would be that every day that goes by gets closer to the draft, and one of my favorite days, as I said last time. So
love that, and of course we will have coverage of the draft. You can watch our analysis with just jackasses talking about football for a night. So make sure you're a part of that. That's the 29th. I believe our coverage starts at 7 o'clock. I hear McNuggies is going to make it back, so you might want to.
I bet he will.
You might want to mark your calendars for that one.
And there has been it's been heard. This is thing. People have been RKO'd at YSN before.
I don't think he's going to be here. He's going to be. I think he's going to be on the virtual, whatever you want to call it.
I said what I said.
Okay. Well, don't RKO me. I didn't do it. Let's go to the man with the master plan. Welcome back, Ty Bartell.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to go beef with everyone with the weather. The weather actually kept me inside with nothing to do today, so I've been playing MLB The Show all day, so that's my filet. It's been a good day where I actually don't have anything to do, which is pretty rare nowadays. So, just been enjoying the day.
All right, you kind of stole my thunder on that one, but I'll let Billy go first.
Yeah, so my beef today is people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. I've said this a couple of days ago, so if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, Google is literally 10 seconds away. So, know your shit before you come at anybody.
I don't know where you're pointed, but we'll find out in the post show. Mine is this. So, as a business owner, you're always looking for opportunities to think about ways to make money or different businesses to make money. Yesterday, I got to download my first ever MLB The Show on Xbox. I started the download at 6 o'clock, and it did not... Actually, I don't even know that it finished downloading yet because I got to 87% and it was midnight. If you're looking to learn or get a zillion dollars... Learn how to get those faster downloaded to your computers or your Xbox or your PlayStations because time is valuable. And I don't have a whole lot of nights to call off, but I wanted to go down and play MLB The Show because I wanted to see what it was all about. And it's finally on my favorite console, and I've still yet to play. So You want to make $1 zillion? Figure out how to make those a little bit smaller so you can play a little bit faster. That is.
You realize you can pre-download things now if you get things digital, right?
Yeah, but what's the point? You still have.
Well, you
to
could have
wait
downloaded it. You could have downloaded it last week, and then it would have been good to go for as soon as the time was lifted.
Dude, the 20th, I was like, all right, I'm going to download this now. Still.
I'm just trying to help you out, brother.
I'm just trying to play a video baseball game. That's all I'm trying to do.
I got you, Grandpa. I understand.
Wow. Somebody's sitting in a rocking chair calling me Grandpa. All right, Pappy Joe. I honestly did not know that, and I probably will still never use it now that I do.
That's right.
So, good show, guys. Very, very good show. So thank you to you, Coach. Thanks, Alec. Thanks, Mac. Thanks, Ty. Thanks, Quinn. And thanks to all of you for tuning in for the YSN Power Hour every day, 3 to 4, right here on YSN. We'll see you tomorrow with lots more conversation and lots more to talk about right here on the network, your sports